Hey everyone, this is David, ChessNerdBird here with another video for our tactics training. Today is day 2 of our 100 days of chess challenge. And again, purpose of this, if you missed the first video, the purpose of this is to improve our chess tactics as well as build a habit of improving at chess every single day. And so if you want to get started, you can go ahead and get started today. Just every day you finish, make sure you do post to Twitter using the hashtag 100 days of chess. I look forward to seeing you guys at the end of this journey and all of us being better chess players. We're just going to jump right into the tactics today and go ahead and get this started. So let's go ahead and get the timer going and get our tactics up. All right, so we have queen to f7. We're playing with the white pieces. First thing we're going to notice here is our bishop is out of the way here. But it looks like I can take on b7, and then I'm going to attack the rook and the knight. And I'll win probably the knight out of this, as well as a pawn. Or I'll just win a rook. Is that right? Just take the rook. Okay. So on to the next puzzle here. So I'm wondering if I just I take this knight first. So this is a really important concept here with move order. So initially I was thinking, oh, I could just take this knight on e4, play knight takes knight, but then after king takes f7, all we do is trade pieces. So instead you could look at knight takes e6, but again after like king takes bishop, or actually pawn takes knight, you still have your bishop to worry about, and you just trade pieces. And so I'm looking at bishop takes e6, because if black were to take back with the pawn, then I take the knight. If black were to take the knight on g5, then I have bishop takes g5, pinning the king to the queen. So that looks like the best response there. I'll win a piece this way. I'll win material. So move order is very, very important. So always make sure that we are looking at the right order of the moves. All right, this is crucial because black is starting to checkmate us pretty quickly. So rook e8 is the first move that pops into my head with check, because the move that's forced is rook to f8. And then queen to d5 check. And the only piece that can block is this one, because if the king moves away, then we take the rook on f8, this rook takes, and then this rook takes with checkmate. So queen d5 check, this rook 2 to f7, and then we play rook takes f8 check. If king takes, queen takes f7 checkmate. If I guess that is the only option. Or you could even be fancy and take on f7. So this one has two different answers. So we're just gonna play rook e8 first. Not two answers, but two ways to win this at the end here. So black plays this move, avoiding either being able to take on f7 or on f8. So again, we take here. And the reason that this rook can take right here is because this rook actually guards this square as well. And then we just take here. All right. Doing well. I want to be able to play queen g8 check, king steps up, and then I push the pawn. And I'm about to promote that pawn. That looks good. I'm just wondering if there's anything else. I'm not really seeing anything else that sticks out to me. Queen g8 check, king steps up, and then I simply push the pawn. I don't see what black is going to do about stopping that pawn promotion. I mean, you play the rook over, and I can still just promote, and you have to give up your rook. So now I'm up a complete rook in this endgame. We can't just play f7 right away because queen takes and it guards the queening square. So that's not going to be good for us. Same thing if I take this pawn and queen takes and then pawn to f7. It's too slow. Black has plenty of time to guard the queening square. We don't want to offer a queen trade because after queen takes and pawn takes and then rook e2, again, black guards the queening square. And now just to make sure I didn't miss something. I think this is always critical in over the board games as well, is even though you're pretty sure about the move, if you feel like you're winning, that is the time to take your time and just calculate just to make sure. Because online with the tactics trainer, I mean, I might get something wrong, but in a game, it could cost you the game that you work so hard to win. So I don't see any other tricks here. So we're just going to push. Yeah, and again, I just promote, and then you'll take, but you lose the rook. So, okay. So with the black pieces here, I think it's just king f3, because all the checks don't really work. Like rook check, king moves over, or moves up and over, and I mean I check again, but then the king takes this pawn, I take that pawn. It just doesn't really lead to anything. If I play check here, I mean the king can go either way here, but again I'm not getting anything for it. Whereas if I play king f3, it's a forcing move still because it is a threat to capture, but it's also a threat to checkmate. So white either has to lose his rook or be checkmated. So king f3 looks like the best move here. So yeah, he has to give up the rook, otherwise he was going to get checkmated. So this one, I feel like there should be a checkmate here. I want to be able to win the queen. I think I can actually with knight to g4 check. I think is an interesting move. If king g3, no, maybe not. That starts to get a little complicated there. King g3. Well, I was thinking like knight g4. This is the idea I'm looking for. So knight g4 check, king back. I just don't, I don't think any of that works. Knight g4, because white would have to play king h1 for me to be able to take on f2 with check, winning the queen. So that's a lot of kind of hope chess there, not really analyzing all the moves, because king g1 even. I'm curious if knight g4 and then king g3. King g3. What about knight takes f2 that way? Because that's still a check. All right, knight g4 check. If king g3, we have knight takes f2. It's a discovered check. If the king takes, we take the queen. Knight g4, king g3. Knight takes f2. If the king goes back, we have queen takes. And then followed up by checkmate on g2. If knight g4 check, king g1, then we actually have knight to e2 check, forcing king h1 and then forcing knight f2. Okay, so this is something where I wanted this plan to work, and we just had to calculate and find the right way to go for it. So knight g4, king g3, knight takes f2 is going to win the queen. But we're not done quite yet, because I did not analyze the line yet. So knight g4 check, king g3, knight takes f2, now king h2. This line I did not analyze. Then I just play queen takes h3, king g1, and then queen takes there. That works. And again, king g1 is probably the difficult reply to find, because you have to find knight e2 check, and then you can find this move. And then find the checkmate. It's a very important concept there of making sure you analyze all of your lines, possible lines, in your opponent's replies. It's very, very critical. So in this line, in this puzzle, I'm looking at the idea of removing the rook from guarding the queen by playing rook c8 check. Because if rook takes, then we take on b7, queen takes b7. So rook c8 check, king moves just about anywhere. Then we just take on queen takes b7, rook takes b7, and rook takes h8. Oh wait, rook c8 does not work because a queen takes c8. So this is part of a lot of times my issues are, and that you'll see with yourself, is you look at a move and think that there's only one or two replies, and really there might be a third option that you just didn't consider, and that's queen takes c8. So that's no good. So I have to play rook takes b7, or queen takes b7, rook takes b7, and then rook c8 to win the rook on h8. There we go. Right, getting close to checkmating me over here. This pawn is very far advanced on d7. So I want to play queen takes f3, bishop takes f3, bishop to c7, because if bishop takes d1, bishop takes d8. And there's no way for black to save to prevent this pawn from promoting. So the other option after bishop c7, if you're following the line, so queen takes f3, bishop takes f3, bishop d7, is rook could take, and then we take the rook, so we're just up a full rook, or the rook moves, and then we promote anyway. And then we'll have a queen. So that looks like that would be the right answer. Yeah, he takes that, and then we're up a full rook. Nice. Okay, white is down a lot of material here. It looks like a lot of material. Just the bishop though. Black's king is severely weakened here. If I play queen takes g6, queen g7, and I was thinking of knight f6, and then taking because I don't see a checkmate here. Is the problem? Yeah, I'm just not seeing a checkmate. So no issue is I don't know if that's good enough, because I feel like I also need to win this knight. So queen takes, and black has two options. Black could go king h8. If he goes king h8, then we have to go knight f6, because then we're threatening checkmate here. We're also threatening the rook. And if the rook comes up to guard h7, then we have queen g8 checkmate. Okay? So queen takes g6, king h8, knight f6. Threatening checkmate on h7. If the queen comes back to block, though, then we play queen h6 check. The queen has to go to h7, and then we checkmate on h7 with the queen takes h7. If the queen blocks, instead, after queen takes g6, queen g7, yeah, the only issue I run into is if the queen blocks. I guess I have to go knight f6 check. The king either steps here, or if the king goes to f8, then we have queen takes, and that's going to be checkmate. On e8, so king has to go to h8. We still take with check. The queen has to block, and then we checkmate. Okay, so this one was pretty tough for me to be able to actually visualize this. So on king h8, we had said we were going to go knight f6. We're not going to take here. So knight f6, threatening checkmate. And black gives up the queen to prevent checkmate. Okay, so the queen right now is overloaded. So being able to see your pieces, see your opponent's pieces or your own, to see that they're overloaded is always a very powerful pattern to recognize. Because right now we are threatening, like for instance, one thing I like to do is if my opponent couldn't make a move after me, what would I like to do? So I would like to play queen takes g2 checkmate. Great, but the queen guards against that. Okay, so how can I get the queen away? Well, I can play, I was looking at rook c2, just naturally that move looked like it would work. It hits the queen, forces the queen off of this rank, so that I can play queen takes g2 check. But the knight guards c2. Okay, so we're working through this logically. Looking at this from a logical standpoint, I want to play checkmate. I can't because of the queen. Well, if I play rook c2, I hit that square as well as force the queen to move, but the knight guards. Okay. But nothing's guarding the knight other than the queen, but the queen's also guarding g2. So if I take that knight, that's a free knight because the queen can't take because I'll checkmate. If the queen moves, then I get to take this rook as well. Because again, the queen cannot take because it's guarding checkmate. So this queen is trying to do too much in this position. And by taking, it allows checkmate. So sometimes it's working through your positions over the board or in these puzzles from a logical standpoint will help you and be able to solve them. Queen takes a8 is just what pokes right out at me. Because I'm down a piece right now. So I don't want to trade queens. But I'm also looking to see if queen takes a8 gets my queen trapped. Or if there's a better option here. I don't think there is. I think just queen takes a8 is the move there, just to get our piece back. Or not our piece, but get material back even. So here, the knight is pinned to the queen. These pawns have been moved. And so black doesn't have a way to guard this a second time. And so by playing queen f3, we would attack it a second time, and there's no way for black to take advantage of that, I don't think. You could try bishop g4, but then I could just take the knight with my queen. And we win a piece. Alright, so white just played bishop c3. To help guard this pawn. Black has an outside pass pawn here. while, I would just like to play h2 and queen. After h2, king g2, and I lose my only advantage in this position, because otherwise I think this is lost, or at least a draw, as long as my knight can stay here. But I think white could cause some issues because of his own pass pawn, or their own pass pawn. So I'm thinking if I go knight f4, then I can play h2. So what I have to be careful of is knight f4 and then white playing e6. I can play h2, e7. I could queen, white queens, but then I have queen f3 check. And no matter where the king goes, I can play either queen g2 or queen. Wait, I can't play queen e2 check. All right, so I need to look at this line. I think I was doing a little bit too much, trying to do too much in my head here without formalizing it. So knight f4, if e6, play h2. e7, queen on h1, promote to queen on e8. We have queen f3 check. King e1, getting on the same file as the queen, so I can't play queen e2 checkmate. So maybe I just have to take on e6. So knight f4, e6, and then knight takes e6. I feel like knight f. I want to just promote. I want to play knight f4, e6, h2, e7, h1 queen, e8 queen. What if I play queen g2 first? Queen e2, king can actually come up to that would not work. King cannot come to e3 because of queen e2 check. All right, so knight f4, e6, h2, e7, h1 queen, e8 queen, queen g2 check. So king would have to go back to e1. I don't know, that starts to look like I'm gonna run out of checks, and then that'd be a problem. I feel like knight f4 though, because if e6, we take e6. Otherwise, we're threatening to promote our pawn, and then we can just come right back to f4. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. Knight f4. moves the king back. Now I do have this fork. Knight e2 check. King moves. I can take on c3. Plays e6. I have knight e4. e7. And I have knight d6. My knight is fast enough to stop that. Yeah, my knight is fast enough. And that was our 30 minutes today. So we didn't get through as many puzzles, I don't think, as we did yesterday. But we did get 100% accuracy. We had to go back through some lines on a lot of these puzzles because I wasn't able to quite see clearly in my head. This last puzzle, just like my previous video, the last puzzle was extremely tricky for me to be able to calculate that out. Because again, when you have a passed pawn, you just have to be careful. You have your own passed pawn. It was just a lot of lines to calculate. In games, you have to be very, very accurate. One little slip up and that could cost you the game, especially with passed pawns. So looking forward to tomorrow. This concludes day 2 of the 100 Days of Chess Challenge. And again, the goal is to spend 30 minutes a day doing tactics and focus on accuracy. Don't worry about speed. Just make sure you're seeing the lines clearly in your head, that you're calculating through, and that you're not surprised by moves by your opponent. And you'll start to see results in your game. But you have to train like you want to play. If you don't take these tactics seriously and you play quickly during your tactics training, if you're not a strong player, then you're not going to calculate strongly or quickly or with accuracy in your over-the-board games. So if you enjoy these videos, you want to join the challenge, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date to all of the videos that come out every day. And then also, if you join the challenge, make sure you tweet hashtag 100 Days of Chess with your updates when you do your challenges. Until next time, this is ChessNerdBird. I will see you all on the next video. Thanks so much. Bye.